Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
Office Bloke Aidan.
Here we are on Sports Edition. If sports is for you, you know what to do.
Yeah, you do.
Leave us a like and subscribe, please. It does help us grow, and we do appreciate it. It's free. MLB players who celebrated and paid the price.
Oh, paid
this
the
is
price.
Baseball Doesn't Exist. I quite like this channel.
Yeah,
very good channel. So this is MLB players who celebrated and paid the price. What do you think it might be?
I don't know. I don't want to see what happens here with this guy.
Right, looks like he's going to get custard pied.
Yeah. Celebrating like this is illegal. Celebrating like this was made illegal, and just last year, MLB banned this celebration. They may...
What is it with them big, massive hats? I've seen it over the last couple of days.
I've not seen that.
I've just spotted over the last... I don't know how long it's been going. It's got like a thing on it, and then it's just a massive hat.
I've never seen that before.
Seem harmless, but celebrations like these have cost people. Celebrations have cursed franchises. It ruined this player's career.
Whoa.
It ended this guy's career, and he
wasn't
wasn't
even a celebration.
even the one who celebrated. These players celebrated, and it cost their team their season. But most of the time, celebrations just lead to this.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Celebrations come at a cost in baseball. It's usually a fastball at your ribs, and that's if you're lucky. From 1909 to 1920, 4 minor league players died after getting hit in the head with pitches. Nolan Ryan hit 158 batters in his career, the 15th most ever. Admitted many of them were on purpose and was only ejected once. He once nailed Robin Ventura on purpose, put him in a headlock, then beat him repeatedly, and didn't even get ejected. He stayed and pitched the rest of the game. This kind of stuff has been accepted throughout baseball history. David Palmer once had a problem with Gary Carter because he did a curtain call. He thought a curtain call was unwarranted and braggadocious. For payback, he hit Darryl Strawberry with a pitch. Strawberry wasn't even the one who did the celebration. He got pissed, charged the mound, a clash occurred between 2 entire teams, and somehow nobody, not even Strawberry or Palmer, got ejected for this. Beanballs and retaliation for celebrations has been a part of baseball forever, and it happens to this day. Just last week, Randy Arozarena made the Rangers irate after he stepped out of the box before the pitch even got there. The next pitch, he steps out of the box again. On the third pitch, he did it again. There's 3 balls. The Rangers don't want to walk him. After stepping out 3 times, they know Arozarena isn't swinging. The pitcher knows he just has to throw any pitch right down the middle and he will get a strike. So he throws the slowest fastball he's thrown all year right down the middle. Arozarena swings and hits a bomb. He pretended like he wasn't going to swing 3 times in a row to trick him into throwing a very easy pitch, then watched the homer, pointed to his dugout, took 33 seconds to round the bases. As the Rangers chirped him the entire time, the catcher had words with him and he proceeded to pull off a 360 directly in his face. And
that needs a ball thrown at him for doing that celebration alone.
I threw a ball at him.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Predictably, the next time he came to the plate, the Rangers nailed him with a pitch. Arozarena calmed down his bench, avoiding further consequences.
You've got to know that's coming, right? You've got to.
Well, I mean, if he has if he's got the capabilities to just levy you with a ball, I would just keep quiet.
The way he behaved on that last at bat, he's definitely going to get nailed the next time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's not really deserved though, is he? He's only just celebrated after hitting a home run.
Don't mind the way he's gone about it.
Consequences. But Bryce Harper didn't do that, and his celebration ended up ending a player's career. In 2014, Bryce Harper hits this bomb off Hunter Strickland in the playoffs. A few days later, he hit another bomb off Strickland, who got mad at Harper for standing too long in the box. Strickland said something to Harper. Harper looked at him a little, then when he got to the dugout, started yelling at him. This was such a big deal for Strickland that the next time they faced each other, 3 years later, he still wanted revenge. He threw at Harper. Harper charged the mound, threw his helmet, threw punches, and everyone went crazy. Harper paid for this celebration by getting hit, but the biggest casualty was Michael Morse, his former teammate who was on the Giants at the time. During the ruckus, Morse collided with Jeff Samardzija, got a concussion, and wasn't able to play for the rest of the year. Already on the back end of his career, he never got another chance in MLB again. This concussion ended his career for good, all because of a celebration 3 years earlier.
Incredible,
There's
right?
many
Mad.
reasons why celebrations are so taboo in baseball compared to other sports. It dates back hundreds of years. In the early days, professional athletes weren't really a thing. If you played baseball for a living, you were pretty much seen as a degenerate. They got paid nothing, were drunk all the time, and fought constantly. Hall of Famer Cap Anson famously chased a pitcher out of a stadium with a bat. A Boston Bean Eater once kicked John McGraw in the face during a play at second base. This started a bash so intense that during it, someone in the stands started a fire. While the teams were fighting on the field, the fire got out of control and burned down the entire stadium. It spread across Boston and destroyed or greatly damaged over 200 buildings, and 1,900 people were left homeless. To this day, this is one of the biggest fires in Boston history. In the late 1800s, an umpire once broke a player's arm after hitting him with a bat during a game. This umpire just so happened to also be the president of the league. Yes, the president of the league filled in as an umpire and hit one of his own players with a bat while doing it. This kind of stuff was obviously bad for business. So when the National League formed in 1876, they put an emphasis on getting rid of debauchery, getting rid of drinking, getting rid of gambling, and marketing the game as a family-friendly event, going back to baseball's roots as a gentleman's game. Showing up opponents with celebrations went against this image, so celebrating became taboo. Over 100 years later, the National League is still around, and the family-friendly image they began with has been ingrained in baseball culture ever since. It's one of the many reasons celebrations are more taboo in baseball than most other sports. For example, the NCAA made taunting in football a 15-yard penalty. They made taunting in basketball a technical foul. But in baseball, taunting results...
The world's proper gone soft,
Hasn't it? I think taunting should be a part of the game.
Yeah.
Because if someone taunts me on the field, I'm like, right, next play.
Now you're gonna get sent off,
Yeah.
mate.
But you know what you got. I always make it look like it's an accident. And I always say to the ref, before I even get in trouble, I always used to say to the ref, you know me, I played dead fair. I slipped. You know.
Every game.
in an automatic ejection, and that means celebrating towards an opponent, celebrating towards an umpire, or even a bat flip is banned in college baseball. Yes, in the year 2024, college baseball banned bat flips. These players all got ejected for doing this, but nobody paid a bigger price than this kid. In a conference rivalry game, up by 3, the Gators brought in their closer. The bases are loaded with 2 outs. This is the biggest out of the game. He strikes out the batter to get out of the jam, got excited, yells towards the other team's dugout, then puts his head down, starts walking back into the dugout, knowing he also has to pitch the 9th inning. Except he doesn't pitch the 9th inning because he got ejected for this. Wow. Luckily, they didn't really need him at the time. They hit a home run the next inning, pulled away even further, and mocked the umpires by doing an anti-celebration going into the dugout. Unfortunately, this pitcher also got suspended for this celebration. Couldn't play for 4 games and missed the biggest series of the year to that point.
So did they expect people to just be like robots?
Yeah, he's just
like
pitched someone out.
Just pitch them out and then just walk off like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
You've got to have that like fire in your belly. I don't care what anyone says. Otherwise, you don't belong in sports. If you haven't got fire in your belly playing sports, you're never going to be the best.
Yeah.
They went on to get swept by the number 6 team in the country. But this couldn't happen in MLB because they don't have a rule against celebrating. It's an unwritten rule. It's policed by players. Celebrate too much, there's a good chance you get a ball thrown at you as hard as humanly possible. But in spite of this, some brave players have fought back. Typically, you have 2 options. Go to first or charge the mound. However, Reggie Jackson found a third option, which will likely never happen again in baseball history. In the 1980s, he had a massive target on his back. This pitcher threw a pitch up and in to intimidate him, a regular occurrence for Jackson. He challenged the pitcher to a fight and had to be carried back to the dugout. But Jackson still wanted revenge, so when he came up to the plate later, he did something better. He hit a bomb, stared at it, and celebrated around the bases. Then after he touched home, he charged the mound. Reggie Jackson might be the only player in history to charge the mound after hitting a home run. Jackson got a
Quality.
cut under his eye and was ejected for fighting against the unwritten rules.
That's crazy,
Rules that aren't in the rule book but are still enforced in other ways. Players used to not be able to bring their wives on the road. The Diamondbacks had an unwritten rule that allowed certain players to use the team's best bathroom. If you had less than 3 years of MLB experience, you had to use the team's bad bathroom. And unbeknownst to the Dodgers, there was even an unwritten rule against bubbles. But before we get to that, did you know there used to be an unwritten rule that banned how much lunch a player could eat? Eating too much lunch would result in a player having to run until they puke. But that was before they invented Factor. Now players don't have to worry about it as much. This meal service delivers healthy, fresh meals directly to your door. Baseball players in the 1800s have literally killed for this, but you don't have to. You're lucky enough to live in a time with the ability to get gourmet.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Do it right now. In 2013, the Dodgers had a plan. They would win a World Series and immediately after have a foam party. Unfortunately, they lost, so the foam party was canceled, but Andre Ethier was really looking forward to the foam party, so he suggested the Dodgers get the next best thing. For months, he requested that the team get a bubble machine, and after months, they finally got a bubble machine. Eventually, the bubble machine made its way into the dugout, and then eventually they just started using the bubble machine every time a player hit a home run and began dancing to it. Soon enough, the entire stadium caught on and began blowing bubbles every time someone hit a home run. Then randomly, the bubble machine disappeared. MLB had stepped in and banned the bubble machine. However, there wasn't an actual rule in the rule book that could justify not being able to use a bubble machine. MLB acknowledged this and just said, quote, "It just doesn't feel right." But with no actual rule, the Dodgers realized MLB couldn't do anything about it. So they brought the bubble machine back. And thanks to the Dodgers fighting back on this policy, today MLB dugouts are infested with props used to celebrate. It seems like almost every single team has a signature home run celebration, but not every celebration is allowed. In fact, this one is banned, and many people think it cursed this team's season. In 2013, the Orioles started pieing people. After walk-offs and post-game interviews, they even pied their own fans after clinching the division in 2014. Adam Jones would pie mascots. A local pie company even began sending them real pies to use on the field. This seemed like harmless fun until 2015, when after a go-ahead 2-run homer, Steve Pearce got to do a post-game interview, was pied in the face, and injured his lips. The Orioles found out about this and decided the pies were too risky. That offseason, they banned the team.
Did he say injured his lips?
Injured his lips, too risky. Being pied in the face is too risky.
From doing it. Fans were pissed and so were the players. Adam Jones spoke out against the ban, and the first chance he got the next season, he pied Matt Wieters in the face after a walk-off in April. But once again, the Orioles put their foot down. There wasn't a pie for the rest of the year as the team had a disappointing season and an embarrassing loss in the wild card round. The next year, the team got off to a hot start. They were in first place and the pies briefly returned. Then once again, it disappeared. In the meantime, with no pies, the team got destroyed and fell to last place. Then out of nowhere, in July, they got hot again. After a walk-off, a pie returned. The next week, Manny Machado got 2 pies. Then Dylan Bundy got pied 3 times after a complete game shutout. Wellington Castillo got pied by his own son. Then Mark Trumbo hit this walk-off. The Orioles, who were at one point in last place, were now only a game and a half back of a playoff spot. During his post-game interview, he was warned, looked somewhat annoyed, hit by a pie, hit by another pie, and the interview ended abruptly. Immediately after the game, news broke that the Orioles, once and for all, banned these pies for good. Everybody blamed Trumbo, yet this wasn't even his fault. He didn't even mind getting pied, and the Orioles just thought it was too dangerous. A pie was never thrown again. Immediately after...
They've actually got like an actual pie, though. It should just be like a tray of cream.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Sponge.
Ban, they lost 20 of their next 25 games and finished the season in last place. The next year, they had the worst record in baseball and didn't have a winning record for 5 more seasons. All because of this one pie that cut Steve Pearce's lip. But even that can't compare to this celebration, which set off a chain of events that led to one of the biggest collapses in baseball history. In 2007, the Mets had high expectations. They were delivering, and at the end of the season found themselves 7 games ahead of the Phillies on September 12th. They were 7 games up with only 17 left to play. They proceeded to lose 11 out of their next 15 games. Going into the second to last game of the season, the Mets needed to win to keep their season alive. They swamped the last place Marlins. But in this process, Lastings Millage and Jose Reyes did this celebration. Along with this and some other celebrations, the Marlins got offended. So later in the game, they threw at the Mets. The benches cleared and everybody calmed down. Except for this guy. Miguel Olivo was notorious for altercations, famously telling a reporter in spring training that he wanted to be a boxer like Mike Tyson, but without, quote, biting somebody's ear off. Then, several months later, got in a fight in the minor leagues and literally bit someone's ear off.
Wow.
Olivo never played in MLB again after that, but in 2007, he was in his prime and unhappy with Jose Reyes, who he was actually friends with from the Dominican Republic. Reyes was talking to the Marlins, joking around. Olivo didn't think it was funny, charged him, and started an all-out clash. This is happening the day before the last game of the season. A game that if the Mets lose would seal one of the biggest collapses in history. It should be an easy win. They're playing a last place team on the last day of a season. A team like this would typically just want the season to end. But because of this beef, the Marlins were extremely motivated. They hated the Mets and say this fired them up. So in the very last game of the season, in the very first inning, they scored 7 runs against future Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. Literally the worst start of his career. The Mets stranded 8 runners in 3 innings and ended up getting smoked 8-1 to seal the end of their season. And this small celebration may have made all the difference. Back then, anything like this could set a team off. This guy celebrated a homer, got thrown at, and kicked a catcher in the stomach. A few years later, Prince Fielder debuted one of the coolest walk-off celebrations ever. This is remembered and beloved in baseball, but even he got nailed by a pitch in spring training because of it. The Dodgers once clinched a division title in Arizona. They celebrated by swimming in their swimming pool in the outfield, leading the CEO of the Diamondbacks to complain and reportedly scolded the team's manager for not having his players throw at the Dodgers for this. When their GM saw the Dodgers celebrating a home run by eating a banana in the dugout, he got even more mad, saying he wanted to hit them with a baseball himself. Today, this would never happen. Teams use props, pip homers, and almost everyone has a signature celly for base hits. You're less likely to get hit for it, but these celebrations are still dangerous in other ways. And this guy became public enemy number 1 in his own country because of it. King Bak-ho became one of the most controversial players in Korea after he was caught on camera chewing gum and looking disinterested while losing in the 2020 Olympics. Losing was so embarrassing for Korea that this was national news. So leading up to the WBC,
right?
Korea and King Bak-ho were determined to fix their image. The team fell behind in their first game and needed a rally. And in the 7th, when the team needed him most, King Bak-ho hit a clutch double, celebrated, came off the bag by an inch, and was tagged out. The next batter got a hit that would have scored King Bak-ho if he hadn't got out at second. And since Korea ended up losing by 1 run, that was the difference. To make matters worse, Korea ended up not making it out of pool play. If they would have won this game, they would have made it out of pool play. Meaning that this inch might have literally cost them the WBC. King Bak-ho, who was already controversial in Korea before this, was blamed, has received non-stop criticism, ridicule, and hate mail ever since, all because of this celebration, making it perhaps the costliest celebration of all time.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's
that's mad though. How like people get that angry over a little celebration.
I know. I can't
Imagine
get
that
it.
was in football. Imagine if the other team got mad if every time you celebrate.
Yeah, but you
would
don't
be
remember
kicking off every 20 minutes.
Got ones like Adebayor. Remember when he ran the full length of the pitch and celebrated in front of the Arsenal fans? But it's things like that which rile they rile it up, and they try to not encourage it purely based on the fact that the anger it causes can cause all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
But I think with that, it's more of a player beef, and I kind of like that. I'm into that, where if someone's over celebrating and in your face doing it.
A lot of them weren't really in their face, when they just high fived each other and did something, or like in the.
They're saying it riled them up a little bit, and the team didn't go after them, but they sort of riled them up to sort of perform better. Yeah. So the Marlins performed a little bit better, but the ones where they sort of they stand there in the area in the square, and they sort of just watch it for a bit, and then sort of jog around that guy who took stood away from the base over the plate, stood away, didn't he, 3 times?
Yeah.
Then got a slow ball and nailed it, and then took 30 odd seconds to go around the bases. Yeah, he'd have definitely got it the next one. I can see why they do it. It's incredible, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The celebrations have been cancelling the pie and all that's a little bit. Fans loved it, players loved it. By the looks of it, reporters loved it. Keep it going, right? Life's too miserable as it is without taking away all the fun. Anyway, enjoyed that. It's a great channel, that.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.